Hey, left, right, out. We're in some serious wind here. I'm in Nevada, of all places. And, man, Nevada's still rolling with the COVID stuff. Crazy. Which I thought Nevada was a free state. But you have to wear a mask while you run in a gym, which is, let me tell you, it's not easy. That sucks. That is one of the... That was one of the things, even when I was back home in Big Sky country, even though when they went full COVID, like when you're at the gym, you could take off your mask to run or do cardio stuff or even lift. But when you're walking around elsewhere, yeah, you put the mask on. I mean, they were playing it down. But here, you're like supposed to run on the treadmill with the damn mask. Nevada's still crazy. But anyway, I want to talk about, because I've kind of changed my mind, my tune on one thing that I've told you guys about markets, and it's that Evergrande default over there in China. Now, it's starting to become more systemic within that nation. Today, while our bond market's closed over there, we had some action over there. I mean, people are puking up some of these bonds, and there's a lot of other developers that they're telling they're going to miss payment, telling bondholders. So people are just puking these things up. So I thought, for sure the Chinese government would just pump a bunch of liquidity in there and just sow the seeds for a further collapse later on. But what it looks like is we're going to start seeing some interesting things happen over there when it comes to their real estate market, which turns out to be like a quarter of their whole GDP or something like that. And the number one, if you take it in dollar terms, asset in group of assets in the world. So it's interesting to see that, even though that's all a big falsehood, right? Because there's a lot of empty homes, a lot of crazy stuff going on when it comes to that. They're propping it up. So the government has been involved kind of with the Evergrande, but they're more prioritizing their spending. But what we're seeing now is other companies, it's becoming more of a contagion, and you're seeing other companies do the same thing, push off bondholders, but you can't. I mean, essentially it's still a centralized economy, so you're going to see this kind of stuff. But the other thing, so not only did they come out recently with their crypto ban, but here they come again, same day, pretty much. They're like, hey, we're going to do this anti-corruption thing in the bank. So they're going to pressure the banks at the same time they're having a hell of a bond market sell-off. And they're going to push their banks a little bit further. I don't know what they're doing, but maybe they feel confident enough where they can do that and see what happens. But any kind of person with a brain over there is probably, I don't know what they're going to do, but it looks systemic. It looks like you're going to have some massive defaults. And the issue, how that can play into us is, like I said in a previous video, seeing the number of trading partners that China has relative to us. Now it's like, used to be U.S. catches a cold and everybody else gets, or we the sniffles, everybody else catches a cold. Now, if China gets the sniffles, because if this becomes systemic, you talk about what currency implications, you talk about trade implications, and you think we got shortages now. I mean, where most of our goods are coming from are over there, and a lot of investors are involved in that real estate market over there, and that could be tied in with some supply. It's going to be interesting because it's so intertwined with, there hasn't been a real market pretty much anywhere forever. So you have all these little manipulators, and it gets piled and piled and piled on. It's hard, it's like taking a big ball of fishing line and tying in a big knot and trying to get it out. So it's really hard to see where everything interlaces and how it's going to play out. You just know it's going to be bad because either they come in and they bail everybody out and they further sow the seeds of a even bigger crash, even though the crash that they'd have now would be biblical, and same with us, but they could be the canary that has just died in the coal mine. I don't want to freak anybody out, but you have to watch over there, because just like the virus, that's where that started. And if you weren't watching, you were kind of shocked when it came over here. But if you did see that happening, what was going on over there, how they were reacting, then you kind of had a little heads up, which I did, which I guess it didn't really change anything. It's like, well, I mean, we still went full R word regardless. But I'm watching it because it might have ramifications over here, and we'll see how it is. We're screwing up our own stuff. Look at oil prices again, $81 a barrel. When are we going to allow ourselves to start drilling? So this is interesting because I look at the oil markets and I'm thinking we have all this oil and the capabilities of drilling it safely and transporting it, refining it, but yet we're still buying from OPEC nations. Not that we can't trade with them, but there are some that are questionable with human rights violations and some of their war crimes, and possibly interfering in things in our own country. But anyway, I'll talk more about that later because it's starting to get windy again. Peace.